What's something that is romantic in movies, but creepy in real life? Having scream fighting matches with your partner constantly because you're both so passionate, like in The Notebook. Like, nah bro, you're just incompatible. That shit ain't cute. Yeah. My husband and I don't really ever fight. I mean, we may disagree with one another or get irritated, but we discuss it like adults, and it doesn't devolve into some dramatic screaming match. The fact that some people have relationships where these passionate matches happen often sounds so exhausting to me. Someone coming home and finding their entire apartment full of flowers when the sender obviously had no legal way to get in. I would honestly be so distraught. Like, someone managed to break into my house, probably in broad daylight, to leave me all these flowers. I may not even know who it was, and at any point in the future they could get in again and either wait for me to come home or break in while I'm there. I'd be tempted to move places or get a really good security system at the least. Casually stalking who they are pursuing, especially if they are a police officer or FBI agent and they just casually look up their interest in the database. Those elaborate plots that trick the other person into falling for you. How do you even trick a person to fall for you if they are not into you? That's never going to work. Yet in movies it always does. And the trick part implies it's lying to or forcing the other person. How is that in any way a healthy base for a relationship of any kind? Stopping someone's wedding and asking them to be with you. Really? You couldn't shoot your shot before the wedding? It's not a surprise event. You're really going to embarrass everyone involved and destroy their wedding day when you could have just showed up last Wednesday? Or ditching your wedding at the last minute for some woman you only met once. Looking at you. Serendipity. There was a Ben Affleck Sandra Bullock movie in the 90s that I loved, because Affleck is trying to get to his wedding and, due to a comedy of errors, falls in with Sandra Bullock on a crazy cross-country trip full of shenanigans. Of course, he gets there and goes in to tell his wife that the wedding is off and he's in love with Bullock. But then, he sees her, remembers why he loves her, and goes through with the wedding. At the time, I thought it was a bullshit ending. In retrospect, I love it because it makes so much more sense, and it totally subverts the Hollywood trope. Every male in the entire village always hitting on the one single blue female. Breaking into your crush's house and laying on their bed. Movies. AWW, he misses her, that's sweet. Real life, you going to jail. Stopping weddings. I attended a wedding in a city hall. The mayor said he's never heard someone say no, but he has already seen people who tried to stop weddings. She got ejected quickly, but it never affected the ceremony. I can't imagine that it didn't affect it whatsoever. Sure, they probably proceeded like normal, but surely the mood was off. An overdramatic proposal in front of a bunch of strangers. There was a scene in Love, Simon where one of Simon's best friends is subject to a public proposal in front of the entire school, and she then has to suffer the horror of publicly turning him down because she doesn't like him in that way. I sunk down in my chair in the cinema and had to look away. Super cringe. But at least they actually showed how that would play out realistically. I had a guy ask me out in front of third of the school before one of the 3 lunch blocks, with a huge sign that took multiple people to hold. I cried, which he mistook as happy tears, and assumed we were dating now. I had to super awkwardly let him down once we were alone. Relentlessly pursuing an ex who clearly doesn't want you back. Sorry dude, leaving wine and roses in your ex-girlfriend's car while she's at work isn't cute. It's super creepy and stalkerish. Chasing someone who already said no multiple times. If someone is already in a relationship trying to break them up. Love at first sight. No. That's just lust and desire. When couples are fake dating and trying to convince their family, then the family forces them to kiss in front of everyone to prove their love. No family would ever do this in real life. It's fucking weird. Like please, make out in front of Nana and your Uncle Ken. Oh buddy, where I grew up, Hispanic culture, if a boy and girl had any reason, simmering someone would chant, BC Bizo Bizo until everyone joined in. Bizo Bizo Bizo. Literally everything in the 50 Shades movies. Accurate every misconception possible about BDSM. But dressed up for horny middle-aged housewives. Apostrophe. If 50 Shades was set on a trailer park, it would be an episode of Criminal Minds. 50 Shades is to BDSM as Game of Thrones is to wedding planning. Extremely old vampires dating 16-year-olds. What We Do in the Shadows, the movie, has a great spin on this one. He's dating a much younger woman. She's in her 80s. Hanging off a Ferris wheel. Threatening suicide for a date. Not taking no for an answer. I hate when some dude in a movie keeps chasing after the girl to convince her that they're meant to be together. Bonus hate points if he ruins a wedding or something to do it. I also hate when women in movies conspire to manipulate a man into falling in love. It's not cute. Yay. I hate it when in TV shows the son will have issues with asking out a girl, so he goes to the dad and the dad says something like don't take no for an answer. I had to ask your mother out X amount of times till she finally gave me a chance. I know that sounds hella specific, but I swear I've heard it in 1,000 different shows. Therapists dating or having sex with their patients. Oh, but they have such a deep connection. Apostrophe. No. That's a malpractice lawsuit in the making. It's almost a better question to ask what isn't creepy. Nothing. The answer is nothing. This thread is really your time to shine. Stealing their baby brother and taking them to the castle at the center of the labyrinth to eventually turn them into a goblin. I think that movie is pretty good at showing what a toxic relationship can look like. You can be fascinated and afraid of someone at the same time. I ask for so little. Just fear me, love me, do as I say, and I will be your slave. I love this line. Also, random fun fact. Bowie made all the baby noises in Dance Magic Dance because the actual baby noises were to shit. Everything you've wanted, I have done. You asked that the child be taken. I took him. You cowered before me. I was frightening. I have reordered time. I have turned the world upside down. And I done it all for you. I'm exhausted from living up to your expectations. Sending an ogre and a donkey to rescue them from a castle so you can force them to marry you so you can become a king to make up for your small stature. Showing up everywhere. Stalking. Keep pursuing someone after no. Watching people sleep. Looking at you Twilight. In The Notebook, Ryan Gosling's character literally built a house for his ex-girlfriend a decade after they split, who is now married to somebody else. Imagine if that was real life. Imagine your teenage boyfriend out of the blue just built a house and expected you to move in with him. Creepy AF. When they fight too much and always shut each other up with a kiss. Noah and Ali had nothing in common. Still that seemed romantic somehow. The Notebook. Not taking no for an answer. Almost every hentai is like this too. I keep looking for ones with consent, but it's so hard to find. So I just settle for the ones where they say no a lot at first, then eventually give in, and I pretend the whole thing was just rollerplay. Sigh Japan. Why you gotta be so rappy? Serenading them at their doorstep. LMAO. What about using posters to declare your love for your best mate's wife? I mean, Christmas is a time to tell the truth. Pursuing someone who is already in a relationship. Hitting on a client or customer. In movies the employee who does that is often charming and good looking, and it is reciprocated. In real life it is a fast way to get fired. Breaking through airport security to profess your love. Have fun getting tased and sent to prison, jackass. That honestly depends on when the movie was made or set. If it was written or set before the terrorist attack on the World Trade Centers, airport security was lax enough that running to meet people as they were boarding was perfectly legal. Maybe more disgusting than creepy, but having spontaneous sex than just putting their clothes back on and going about their day without even cleaning themselves up. Oh boy. I worked with a waitress whose BF would cream pie her before work like 3 days a week. How do I know, you ask? Because she would brag about it to staff and customers. Exclamation mark. And how much she loved walking around in soggy panties because it made her think of him. How the duck did she bring that up to customers? Like, how do you seg into that? Here's your coffee. Apostrophe. Can I get some cream with that, please? Apostrophe. You sure can. On that topic, my BF. Apostrophe. Serenading someone in general without breaking eye contact. Yeah, the editing makes it look good and all, but in reality it's more of a mix of creepy, awkward, and altogether wishing the moment was over. Ooh, Grant. Forced kisses to shut up, my guy. She's being emotional and trying to work through her feelings and all you do is claim her lips. No, I learned this the hard way. Got a slap for it. It was the day I absolutely stopped using movies to judge a relationship. When people talk like really close to each other's faces, like 2 inches apart, and their breath probably stinks. I don't like sand. It's all coarse, and rough, and irritating, and it gets everywhere. I killed them. Not just the men, but the women and the children, too. Kissing someone who is asleep. I think this is okay if it's you, so I'm fine with it and think it's sweet when my fianc does this. But if it's a stranger / someone you aren't actually dating / etc, then I definitely agree. Never saying goodbye at the end of a phone call and just putting the phone down. Not sharing the door you're floating on in the middle of the freezing Atlantic Ocean after you survive the capsizing of the Titanic. Surprising your partner with massive financial decisions. If you don't mind, I'd like to weigh in before you buy me a car or even a ducking house. I watched The Holiday recently, and something that struck me as weird, which is never addressed in the film, is that Jude Law's character has sex in his sister's bed with basically a complete stranger. Showing up at the airport to confess your love at the last minute. Like, no, boy, I'm dipping out of here without you. Literally every romantic movie trope is creepy and stalky and should never happen in real life. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed watching this video. Leave your thoughts in the comments below.